The weight of cobwebs clings to my joints like a second skin, though they've not been here as long as the dusty shelves of my childhood rooms. My mother stretches over my bed, her brow furrowed not with affection but with the quiet fury of years curled around her into a knot. "You'll never belong here," she says, her voice a blade wrapped in silk. "Not to my family. Never." The words land like a lightning strike, shaking the foundations of my entire fledgling dream. They carve a hollow in my chest, a wound that forgets the tenderness of laughter shared in the kitchen or the warmth of a mother's touch during a bad day. But I know they don't deserve it. I know they've learned to measure worth in moments worth watching. You wonder if I'd trust them to see what happened beneath their facades. The way my hands hold memories in ornate locks, how my curiosity once outshone their judgments, until they realized their own certainty had been the shadow in my path. They called me idealistic, a relic of some indifferent past, a child who listed irrelevant sketches, they hissed, a dreamer who'd dissolve into the periphery. But I've started speaking my truth in whispers now, in conversations I'd once fled. My calls grab immediately. My voice trembles not with fear but with a defiance they hadn't anticipated. They've expected failure. They'll watch me deconstruct their disdain like it's a puzzle they want solved, twist by twist, until the pieces fall into place and collide into something they've never known. The mirrors still show me blurred silhouettes, slim, hollow-eyed, staring at vacancies where I once stood. The room chills. I've spent weeks unburdening myself, forging a persona from the echoes of my past. The reluctant student who traded textbook pages for cracked smartphone screens. The scavenger who'd painstakingly reverse-engineered every abandoned app they dared occupy. Yet this version unearthed differently, older, more unburdened. My first digital excavation, uncovering fragments they'd scraped for decades, only to reset them in a fire that didn't bother them. It's raw, chaotic, undeniably me. Yet I see them in it, betrayed, overlooked, forgotten, for what they left behind. A collective forgetting, a lineage of whispers that had never dared speak. What now begins as a whisper crescendos into a roar. My father, once a pillar of the household, bows in disbelief, his knuckles white around his coffee cup. His hands, once steady with concerns about bills and schedules, now clutch the workstation factored into his chair. My mother clutches her teacup, her eyes glistening, while my younger brother squirms, caught between pride and the ache of disappointment he didn't fully grasp. The room vibrates with the sublime tension of a pendulum swinging between shattered and reclaimed. This is the moment their childhood certainty fractures, a point where complicity becomes collateral damage, where the guise of harm has twisted into something akin to truth. Then comes the scene that fractures them. My father kneels before the screen, gesturing to a cluster of files labeled dust, decay, history. A mausoleum of their world, yet something inside thrums, a rawness they can't name. He hesitates, voice cracking. "You." His words unravel the carefully constructed walls of their belief that joy comes only from comfort. "You see something that doesn't belong to you." I reach for the files, my hands steady despite the tremor in them. "Look, every pixel here, every frame, every archive of what was buried. This isn't deviation, it's excavation." The room falls silent. For the first time, they remain. The weight shifts from their shoulders to mine, not as a burden but as a bridge. The aftermath stitches itself together, a tapestry woven from regression and revelation. My father admits, voice rough with exhaustion and a flicker of relief, "You didn't fail us." The lie they'd told themselves, the pragmatism born of necessity, crumbles into marrow. My brother, though still shaken, finds a bruise that blooms into resolve. The youngest adds a question, "Will it matter what you become?" And the question hangs, unanswered yet profound. This is karma's ledger, a recalibration. The past miscalculated the board, yet the payoff reveals a different geometry entirely. I enter the sustainability project not as a successor, but as a collaborator, a part of their vision rather than a footnote. The land Tysa has resurrected blooms I once feared, their roots entangled with the data I've stewarded. Their forgiveness isn't a gift, It's a choice, hard one, yet bittersweet. Still, in that choice I find recognition. A child again, reborn, reaching through cracked glass into light. Yet the task remains unresolved. The digital world still whispers of my name, of the girl who sculpted forgotten things into existence. But here, now, I am the archivist who stops telling the story they denied. My hands, once clumsy with pixel fragments, now smooth in the act of digitizing life itself. The family's edges soften, not without pain, but with a strange tenderness. A family beginning to see not the lighthouse gobernante of their past, but the beacon they needed most still unreached. In this final exchange, the confrontation is less about atonement and more about survivorship. I return not to claim legacy, but to inhabit it. The room no longer trembles before the files. Instead, it breathes. And for the first time, both of them, family and precursor, find space to hold the truth. The dream was never discarded. It was simply given form, and in doing so, weathered its own shadows, revealing not trial but transformation. A career not for validation, but for right return. And the silence that follows is not abandonment, but the space where possibility waits, unearned yet inevitable. I leave them with a file labeled Elena, the Univerter. Inside, a single line of code healed a leaking pipe in the community center, a data node restoring a lost library archive. The name, they dare not say aloud, but somewhere, a truth takes root. The storm passes, and from its wake emerges a garden, not of what was, but of what endures, not in spite of its flaws, but because of its persistence. Word count, 998.